What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time. I am Britt Devine, hanging out in Dan Bach's garage, this luxurious Nashville garage. He has, just kidding. No, this is just the background. Here with my boy Keith. Keith, you just lost an MMA fight. Did you see that?
I did not.
Cerrone, that fight's gone. So get him.
Oh yeah. I did see that one. Yeah, I thought you were. I was like, wait a minute, the card doesn't kick off for another 30 minutes. Like I thought you were saying that Daukaus lost in the first fight or something. But yeah, down a fight, but still a decent card. Not a great card for betting. There's a bunch of huge favorites, so and they're all juiced up. Like just don't really like anything. So not as much volume for me this weekend in UFC, but still
MMA's later anyway. We got baseball, and we got a fun slate of baseball today too. So we'll get to that in just a minute. I want to thank Fanduel for sponsoring the show. I've got my Fanduel Sportsbook app. I had it open, it closed. I'll give you some of the bets that I actually have on Fanduel. If I place them on Fanduel, they are the best lines you can find around the industry. So that's how I work. I'm always playing the best lines. So I'll give you some of the bets I have on Fanduel. If you're a new user there, you can get some free bets by signing up. Sports betting's awesome. I like it way more than DFS. It is just a really fun time to be a sports bettor, prop sites, all that sort of fun stuff. So make sure to check out FanDuel. Let's talk some starting pitching for today, Keith. I guess I'll handle cash. Normally, you're my co-anchor on cash when we have three, but it's only two. I'll let you handle some tournaments, and I'll start on FanDuel. And I guess you can sort of weigh in too, because there's three. Verlander and Nola are sort of in the same price range, but I'm definitely playing Verlander today against the White Sox if I'm spending up for just $700 more on FanDuel. The other guy for cash I was looking at would be Alex Wood. He's 8,600. Maybe you could sneak in Springs too. I think Springs is slightly interesting. But I think Wood against the Pirates is the other guy, just because he's a little bit cheaper, and that allows you to, if you want to play Jordan and Trout, and we were going to play Harper, but if you want to get Schwarber in there, right? If you want all the stud players at the hitting positions, maybe you need to go down to Alex Wood today. I found enough value on FanDuel personally to be able to jam in Verlander. You get the strikeouts, maybe not as much upside as he's had in years past, but still very consistent. 6 to 7 with the ability. I still think he has that 10 plus strikeout ability. He goes deep. He's got that quality start in all but 3 games this year. You get run suppression, all that fun stuff. I think Verlander's probably my guy on FanDuel. You cool with that?
I am cool with that. I agree with everything you said. I think it is a conversation between Nola and Verlander. I lean slightly to Verlander as well, just because of the ballpark. Like the weather is great in Washington. They don't strike out a bunch. Not that the White Sox strike out a ton either, but just slightly better ballpark, slightly better matchup for Verlander, in my opinion. So I would lean that way as well.
Yeah, and then just going over to DraftKings for cash, you obviously have Verlander in there as one, and it's pretty much between the other two here because the pricing's pretty similar between Aaron Nola and Alex Wood as it is on FanDuel today. These are the three guys really in rotation. If you want Nola's always had these home road splits where he's much better at home and not so great on the road. That's sort of flipped this year, so I don't know if it's like if Cardi was on here, is that really true that he's had for like his entire career? He's been pretty great at home, okay on the road. This year it's a little flip. I think you can do Verlander, Nola. If you just want to squeeze in, if you want to play a Trout and a Schwarber and a Jordan, again, basically those guys, it's Verlander, Wood for me on DK. Is there anyone else? Those are the three guys. I'm not really seeing anyone else I really want to risk my money on today, Keith.
Springs is the other guy you mentioned, and I do agree. Baltimore has struck out a ton versus left-handed pitching, second highest strikeout in the league to lefties. So I do like him a good amount. I don't like the ownership number I'm seeing for tournaments. Mm-hmm. I think for cash, you go up to the top two, just more upside with Nola than Wood. I do obviously love the matchup for Wood against Pittsburgh there. Just a little bit more safety, definitely a longer leash for Nola. So for cash, I think you go up to the top two.
All right, so now if we're looking ownership-wise and we're going into tournaments, out of those, 4, we've got, I'm looking at the DraftKings ownership right now. We've got Springs as number 1. I don't know if he's going to get there. I would probably put Verlander as the highest own. It's all really close up at the top with Wood coming in a little more. Maybe I'd take a little from Springs and give it to Wood, but Springs has been great. I don't think you can argue against that. We've got those 4. Is there one you actually prefer out of all of them for tournaments, someone you want to be overweight on? And then is there anyone else? It gets pretty sketchy after that.
it does get sketchy after that. So Verlander is the guy I would be overweight on. Just talked about the matchup. I know the strikeouts have been down a little bit, but it's still in there somewhere. Like, he's still an elite pitcher in my mind. I do like Wood. The price savings is useful. Don't mind that ownership. And I don't know, the ownership between Springs and Wood to be interesting. We have it heavily in favor of Springs right now. I kind of feel like Wood grabs a little bit more of that, and they're coming in closer together than we currently have it projected. So I'm going to play a ton of Springs as well. I like his upside tonight. Mentioned the strikeouts, but that ownership is tough, especially on DraftKings. To go off the board a little bit, I don't mind Kyle Bradish. He's really cheap. The Rays have struck out a ton. A really talented prospect who hasn't quite figured it out yet, but I think for that price tag, he can be useful today. Josiah Gray, the Phillies lineup is weakened. You mentioned no Harper. There's no Hoskins in that lineup as well. So I was initially attacking Gray heavily, and I'm still going to do that. I'm still playing plenty of Philly, but Josiah Gray has kind of entered the conversation for tournaments. There's some strikeout ability there, watered down Phillies lineup, and plenty of strikeouts in the Phillies lineup.
I want to get a little grosser with you and throw a couple other guys at you. We've got Wood going up against Pittsburgh. What's the other team we target? Is going to be Oakland, right? Brad Keller's cheap. He's 6,700 if you were getting cheap. I know you like Bradish. I can get behind Bradish. Keller, he's over 3.5. I got him on the prop sites at 3.5, so he's minus 150 on Fanduel right now for some strikeouts. But, he can give you 4 or 5 strikeouts. This is a reasonable matchup. If he goes like 6 innings and they win, I like the Royals to win. I bet the Royals to win on FanDuel. If you're looking for a bet, I think that's a pretty decent one today. Gets the quality start, gets a couple of strikeouts. I know you don't get that on DraftKings, but I don't know. He's someone I'm slightly interested in, at least from the tournament perspective.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. I think he's definitely safer than Bradish. I just feel like Bradish has a little bit more strikeout upside. Keller's K rate's down around 15% or so, if I recall. So I do like the safety. I like your angle there that he can go deeper into the game. So I don't hate that. I just think a little bit more upside for Bradish.
Anyone else
but it
really
could go very wrong for Bradish also.
Yeah, we got a lot of games going today. Is there anyone else?
Nothing that's really comfortable. Quintana's been pretty good, but I hate that matchup against San Francisco. Taijuan Walker is a guy who has not struck anyone out this year, but he's been getting kind of lucky with the results and has been fairly useful. He's at a price tag where I think he's playable. I worry about the upside for tournaments. He just hasn't struck anyone out this year.
Game log watchers, 10 against the Angels in his last one. But other than that,
where'd that come from?
6. Yeah, where was that when people were using him all season long? I think he will draw. When you have 10 strikeouts, people are going to go back to you in the next outing. So I think he will. We have him at 12%. I think that's pretty reasonable for ownership as well. All right, before we get to offense, did you write anything up for scores and odds today, Keith?
I did. It was Kyle Wright over 5.5 strikeouts, so he's already kicked off. He was at 4 when we jumped on.
I paired him 5 plus the win. I like those player performance doubles. So the strikeouts would have been the better bet.
Yeah, the Cubs have just been kind of nickeling and diming him, but I don't know. Maybe the Braves can put the runs on the board here for you.
Yeah, he's got his 6 strikeouts already, so that was a good one.
Yep.
So go check out Scores and Odds. It's basically our betting app. If you just want, if for free, if you have access to sportsbooks for free, you can just see, and you wanted to bet a strikeout prop, you can see instantly across the books what the best line is. So you're always getting the best line with it. And then if you want the picks from RotoGrinders, you can subscribe to that. Get them for golf, hockey, baseball, basketball's over, football, MMA. Anything you want, if you want to subscribe to that. I'm on it literally 24/7 trying to find the best odds. That's what I generally use it for, and taking a lot of the picks on there as well, because there's a lot of smart people contributing to that. So make sure to go check that out. All right, let's go to offense real quick, Keith, as a whole across the landscape. We've got a lot of games, right? I like these little afternoon. I wish they maybe put like 2 more on the late slate, right? If it was like 7 and 7 games or something like that would be great. What's the lay of the land? Where's the ownership going? Are there any teams you're overweight on? Is there a team with a lower total you think is going to get overlooked? just generally what's going on with the bats for tournaments today.
Yeah, so the Phillies were setting up to be kind of chalk, but they're missing two of their best hitters. It does lower the price of the stack. I still like the Phillies a good amount. And then this game in Cincinnati, I'm very interested in well. Great ballpark for home runs, good weather there. And a couple of their ground ball pitchers, but they're not going to strike anybody out. So going to be a lot of balls in play and a great ballpark for home runs, like both sides of that game. The Mets have been a really strong offense all year, facing a lefty today, kind of like them a little bit. Let's see here. Going like way off the board, the Giants against Quintana. Like I mentioned, Quintana's been good this year, but like it just doesn't feel real to me. He's been down the last couple of years and just kind of found a resurgence this year. I think the Giants match up pretty well against Quintana. The Rangers are facing a rookie. They're in Detroit, so I don't mind them a little bit as well.
Yeah, I'm on Houston. Like Jordan, I think I got it on FanDuel. His total bases, right? He's going up against who's a Hearn, right? Like he should never be plus money to get over 1.5 total bases, and I think it was plus 100. Like, yeah, go bet that on FanDuel. That was another one of my bets today. If you want to get a load of that, that was early in the day, and I know some other people got on it. I saw throughout the day, so maybe it's a little juiced up, but yeah, that just seems like a pretty easy bet. And I'm using them in DFS everywhere I can afford them. So
the Astros have the White Sox, right?
Yeah,
so it's Cueto.
Yeah, definitely going to be picking on Cueto today. All right, let's go to catcher. I want to talk, I guess, on both sites. You've got on FanDuel, you don't need them, but if you wanted to jam in all of the more expensive bats, you can use Eric Haas. He's the minimum 2K on FanDuel. In my final build, I did not end up going with him. I found enough, $2,500 to $3,000 bats where I didn't have to go to him, but he's hitting cleanup today. On DraftKings, he's 3,100, so he's not the minimum at catcher. That's probably where I'm going. I'm trying to save money to get some of those more expensive bats that I want today, right? Because Real Muto without Hoskins and Harper in the lineup isn't really worth it. Sal Perez, sure, he can get you a home run, but it's a little up and down. Everyone else is overpriced. So on DK, I'm probably going with Haas, hitting cleanup there for 3,100. What about in tournaments for you, Keith?
Yeah, I'll only play Real Muto in Philly stacks. He should be the highest owned here. Sal Perez, I do like as a one-off. I'm not stacking Kansas City because of the ballpark, but I do like that one. Christian Betancourt is somebody way off the board. Guy's been hitting the ball really hard. He's against low strikeouts from Keller, so I do like him as a cheap pivot away from Haas. And then Francisco Mejia is the other one that I don't mind.
All right, I'm going to go to first base for cash. I'll start on, actually, I think I got the same guy. So I'm personally using Rowdy Tellez. You mentioned you like that Cincinnati-Milwaukee game. I do too. And you can get Tellez hitting third for $2,700 on FanDuel and $3,300 on DraftKings. So he gives you big boy upside, right? It's just the same. I mean, in general, probably the same amount of upside as an Alonso, as an Ohtani, maybe not as consistent, but you get the ability to have that. And then you're in Cincinnati as well with great weather for that cheap price tag. So I really like him. I mean, if I said anybody else, I'd be lying because he's locked into both of my cash games. Maybe you could go to like Ohtani's just a little bit too expensive on DraftKings. And then the position, it's just like there's nobody really else in that mid tier on DK. Why wouldn't you want to use a guy like Tellez? And then, you've got Alonso. He's 4,100. Again, not a lot of other people you really want to use on FanDuel. So why not just go to Tellez? You got Joey Votto at 2,800 too. You could probably use both of them, honestly. Throw Votto or Tellez into your utility on FanDuel. But that's what I'm looking at today, Keith.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Tellez is a great play. Votto is one I really like as well. He's just a little bit underpriced because he struggled at the beginning of the year and then missed some time, but he's picked it up here recently. Really like Votto. Pete Alonso is probably my favorite one-off on the slate. I am stacking Mets as well, but I'll be using a ton of Alonso. Just a great matchup for him against the lefty. The Baltimore guys, Mountcastle in particular, Springs is going to be popular. I don't mind chasing Mountcastle to try to hit a home run and bust some of the chalk a little bit. I mentioned Texas as an off the board stack. Nathaniel Lowe is cheap. Can definitely use him. And then Mancini as well for Baltimore.
Yeah, I think I bet Nate Lowe. I make literally 100 bets a day, and then I do all the prop sites too. So I bet Nate Lowe total bases. It was plus 140. I got him at today for
that.
the 1.5. Yeah, I like getting that one. I thought that was a little too low for him. I'm going to move to second base, and I'm going to go to Fanduel first. And I don't want to use this guy, Keith, because he's been probably the most disappointing, reasonably named hitter I think in baseball. People have been slumping, right? Kyle Tucker slumped for a month and a half, and now he's on fire. But Javi Baez has not come out of his season-long slump. He's been horrible, but he's just 2,300 today. I'm willing to take that risk because the position, unless you go to Altuve on FanDuel, I don't mind Birdie for cash games at 3,000 or Semien. Birdie's been very consistent, and he's stealing bases left and right now. And Semien, but I wanted some of those big boys in the outfield, so I needed to save a couple of bucks. I've got Baez over on FanDuel. On second, on DK, you can, I think, he's not on, he's shortstop on DraftKings. So I went to India, 4,300. He's also not having, he hasn't had a home run yet, but we know he has the ability to do it. The more bats you can get from this Milwaukee-Cincinnati game, I think are great. So he's 4,300. If you can get Semien's 5,100 on DK, just a little bit too expensive. The other guy, if you needed someone cheaper, would probably be Urias at 3,500. Just going with another bat in that game, and Urias is reasonably consistent. But I went with India. I like him a little. I like Cincinnati a little bit more than I like him a little bit more than Urias. I'm willing to pay that extra couple of bucks. But I'm not really finding myself spending at second base today.
Yeah, I agree with your India call there. A guy who's missed a bunch of time this year, but we were paying around $5,000 for him on DraftKings last year, so he's a little bit underpriced for his talent level. He should get it going here any moment. We love the ballpark. Not a scary matchup against a low strikeout ground ball pitcher, so totally on board with that. Tournaments, we mentioned Houston. Altuve is a great option in the top end. Jazz is another guy you can always play as a one-off. It gets pretty ugly after that. So that's primarily my pool. Tyro Estrada for the Giants. I mentioned liking them as an off the board stack a little bit. He's been pretty good, has the platoon advantage there against Quintana. Bryson Stott is the Philly that I want to mention. He is cheap, a little bit of pop there hitting at the bottom of the order, but I like the upside for a home run here.
All right, going to third base on DraftKings. I may surprise you here, but I'm going with a cheap bat from the Milwaukee-Cincinnati game. We've got Mike Moustakas. He's come around. He's having a little bit better. I don't know. He's just really horrible all season, but he's getting at least a couple of points. He's hitting seventh, but he's just cheap enough to fit into both lineups today while allowing you to get some of the bigger bats. So I like him at just $3,000. And again, when you look at the position, Brandon Drury right now, he's been having a great season. He's 5,400 on DraftKings, right? You're not going to pay that price. I mentioned Birdie for if you land on him, I don't hate it because he's just piling up hits and singles and stolen bases, and those add up really, really quick, even against Taijuan Walker at 4,400. But third base is just, there's literally, I don't want to roster anybody at their price tag today on DraftKings. So it just sort of defaulted as I was going down trying to find somebody. I landed on Moustakas at $3,000. It's just too cheap. And sort of the same thing happened on FanDuel as well. Everyone's just a little bit too priced. If you have the extra 500, I think I definitely actually prefer Birdie over Moustakas. He's someone I definitely have my eye on, or Bregman. Bregman's having a little bit of a slow season. But I don't know. More bats in Great American Small Park. It's good weather. Sign me up.
Yeah, I'm on board with Moustakas. I know it's been a rough go for him for a couple years here, but there's still some power in there, and we love the environment, so definitely on board with that. You mentioned that price on Drury. The dude just keeps hitting. I know we haven't seen this.
I can argue against it.
Yeah, just you talked about just third base in general being everyone's a little bit overpriced. Evan Longoria is the one guy I think is maybe a little bit underpriced, but I'm going to be paying up for Drury. I think he's a good way to differentiate your red stacks.
Yeah,
because nobody wants to pay that price for him. But hit a home run yesterday, last 2 days actually. Dude's just been really good this year, so I'm on board with overspending for him to get the discount on the ownership.
Yeah, you can play Drury or Mike Trout. I think everyone's gonna play Mike Trout. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
What else? You were gonna say something else?
Yeah, I mentioned Longoria, but Wilmer Flores as well. Just another cheap Giant. Really like the way that these Giants righties set up today.
Real quick, I want to give a shout out to my wife for buying me this sweet chair. Go to my Twitter. It's at Brit_Divine. You'll see literally what I've used since I started at RotoGrinders. The chair I used, you won't believe it, but it's been comfortable enough for me to get through. I never saw the need to actually get a chair. I'm really only down here for the shows and whatever. But big thanks to my wife for buying me the new chair for Father's Day. It's like it's another day to get gifts, Keith. But now I have to give more gifts on Mother's Day, so I guess it evens out at the end, right?
Yeah, it'll all work out for you. But yeah, nice little upgrade. Happy Father's Day. Congratulations again on the kid.
It was it's funny. So they delivered it in like the actual chair box. I'm like, what is this? So she's like, don't look at it. And I'm like, oh, that's got to be a Father's Day present. I figured it out pretty quickly. But big props to her for getting me. And this is very comfortable. I can see why people like the nice chairs. Anyway, let's go to shortstop. So on DraftKings, I mentioned on FanDuel at second base, I was playing Javi Baez. I'm not going to play Javi Baez at 4,000 on DraftKings. I'm going to play. I landed on Kyle Farmer, just getting more bats in this Cincinnati game. He's 100 more than Baez, and it's outside of probably Corey Seager and Willy Adames. I really wanted Seager or Adames. I just didn't have that with getting a couple of the other guys right. If I want Verlander and at least one really high-end outfielder, I just couldn't get to either one of those. I landed on Farmer. I just think at that around that same price tag. I know the bat loves Javi Baez, but I'm going to play Farmer today over him for $100 more. And it's just another position. There's literally nothing all too interesting with all these games going today. There's just not a players you want. They're all overpriced. So that just landed me on Farmer over on DK. And on FanDuel, where Seager is much more affordable at $3,100. That is definitely the guy. You could play Adames as well if you wanted to play him. He's $3,000. I'm going to take Corey Seager, though. Really like him today.
Yeah, I love Seager as well. Definitely the first guy in a Rangers stack. Didi Gregorius is up to the 2 spot with some of the Phillies guys missing. So I really like him. Lefties have hit Gray really hard this year. He's given up a bunch of ISO to the left side of the plate. I mentioned Stott at second. He has shortstop eligibility as well. Another Phillies lefty. I do like Adames in a Brewer stack. A little too much ownership to play him as a one-off for me. Lindor would be a guy you could pivot to as a one-off.
All right, for cash, basically on FanDuel, I'm going to run through maybe 6 or 7 guys that would be in consideration. You've got your Astros, Alvarez and Tucker. You can play either or both. I think both fit in there. You've got Trout. If you need a 2K, you've got Haas. Don't forget he can fit into the outfield on FanDuel. If that helps you get some of the more expensive guys, I think you can do that. You've got Renfroe, who's just another bat in that Milwaukee-Cincinnati game. He's 2,500. Those are you've got Schwarber, maybe a little bit dinged without Harper and Hoskins hitting behind him now. But I still think as a one-off, he's reasonably in play. I think I had him in, but I took him out once he lost the 2 big bats behind him. I think that was a little bit of a downgrade. I moved up to Jordan or Trout, I think, on FanDuel. On DraftKings, Trout is like, I really like Jordan today, but Trout is a $500 discount, and you do need to save a little bit of salary. Trout's great. I think he's my preferred spend on DraftKings, and if you can get to Jordan on FanDuel, you can get access to both of them that way. Another angel in the outfield. Don't sue me, Mr. Movie Producer or anybody like that. Taylor Ward is just 4K leading off. He's having a great season. Slowed down a little bit lately, but I think 4,000 is just a little bit too cheap for him. And then you've got, I mentioned Renfroe. I think he's also fine on DraftKings. I don't know, just you can get some really good players in really good spots today, and that's sort of what I'm doing, Keith.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of those you mentioned. Trout and Alvarez both in phenomenal spots. Schwarber, one of the top plays on the slate as well. Yelich, I don't know. He's in a good ballpark today, so I'm going to play him. Despite him kind of. Yeah, the price has come down on Yelich too. Like 4,300 on DK is really attractive. I like your Renfroe call. Good power bat there. Starling Marte is somebody I really like for the Mets. Slightly underpriced as well, in my opinion, at 4,500 on DK. Good hitter against lefties throughout his career. Brantley is a guy that always gets left out of Astros stacks. I think he's fine. He's priced up a little bit, but that's going to lower his ownership. Don't love the upside there, but in a Houston stack, he's great. Julio Rodriguez as a one-off is fine. And Austin Hayes is a guy who's having a pretty decent year. Another guy against Springs who's pretty chalky today.
All right, I'm going to run off just the last of a couple of bets that I've made today. If you're looking for something, if you've got access, these are actual bets I've made on FanDuel today. Oh, we got one run for the Braves, so I need a couple more for that. Let's see here. I mentioned the Royals to win outright on the money line. I think is a pretty good one. I got Yordan at plus 100. I just looked, he was minus 120 or minus 115. So probably wouldn't do that if you're chasing the juice on that one. The plus 100 earlier in the day was pretty good. I like the over on the Angels game, right? I got Trout, I got Ward. I think both offenses could get into that one. I think that's pretty good. Let's see what else I got. Some of those have moved, I believe. Cal Quantrill, I don't know if it's still there, but there's no way I got him under 4.5 strikeouts against the Dodgers I get up at 4:30 now that I'm a new father. That's when the baby wakes up. So you get access to all these ridiculous lines that you never see because you don't get up till 10 East Coast time. So all the good lines are gone. But if it's at minus 160 when I got it, if that's still there, I really like that one. There's no way he strikes out 5 Dodgers tonight. So I figure I'm just getting free money on that one. But those are all the bets I actually made on FanDuel. If you wanted to go find them, I'm sure they would appreciate it. All right, question time. I'm going to our Discord for our premium subscribers, MLB Crunch Time. There's a couple in there. I will get to YouTube in just a little bit. Prodigy wants to know, single entry FanDuel, Bradish and Arozarena or Taijuan Walker and Kyle Tucker. That is very easy for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go the second one there.
Yes, I love Kyle Tucker today. And Walker, I think he can just get it done. I think I did bet not on FanDuel, but I do have an Arozarena over 1.5 total base bet out there. I think I got a plus 120. Always, some of the total baselines are minus 140, minus 150 now. The books are really juicing them up. No, don't play those. Get the plus money ones on good hitters. You'll generally come out ahead sometimes. Willie Castro or Mlb Dfs in a single entry tournament. You're dumpster diving today. Who you got?
I would go Diaz there.
All right. Amateur hour DraftKings tournament. Let's see here. All right. So are you basically stacking Milwaukee? So Navarez, Yelich versus Haas and Castellanos.
Yeah, I like the Milwaukee side.
Yeah, I would take them. Let's see. Or home run hunting. And then Casty, Schwarbs, and Haas and Amateur hour, you got too much going on there. I like that Milwaukee-Cincinnati game, I think is what we both said. That would be my preference for just about anything you have going on today. Pinch hit risk. I don't follow. These are great when Cardi's on here. Austin Slater or Wilmer Flores. Do you have any? Who would you be more willing, I guess, to play today?
I would prefer Flores. I can look up the pinch hit risk in the bat here real quick.
Yeah.
While you grab the next question.
I think Slater's a reasonably good play today. I don't mind Slater over Flores there. All right, so that was a question, amateur hour. All right, so we'll get some more questions from the Crunch Time chat in just a second. I'm going to YouTube. What about Detroit? So I know that Cardi, Haas and Baez and a couple other guys, if you're looking for a cheap stack, they seem to be it. Probably because they're not really great baseball players anymore here. Are you on board for a Detroit cheap stack, right? On FanDuel, right? You can get Castro. None of their top 4 hitters are over 2,300 on FanDuel today.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
but you got a roster Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah, it's not one of my favorite things. I think I wouldn't do a full 4-man. If you wanted to do a 3-man and then get another one-off that has a little bit more upside, I think that would be the way I would play it.
Yeah, I would also say Grossman, if you needed an absolute cheap play on DraftKings, I don't think he's 4. I think he's 2,300 in the outfield over there. just to tie everything else together, I think he's fine. And Baez on FanDuel, I think is good. But everyone else, I don't know. I'm not really on the Tigers today. I think they're, probably one of the worst offenses in baseball right now.
So 35% pinch hit risk for Slater.
Mm-hmm.
And for Flores, it is he has 0% in there.
All right, so that's pretty like the 35 is one of the bigger pinch hit risks you will see in the bat.
Yep.
Which stack would you use with Nola? So Nola, I don't know. There's a lot of them. So Nola's expensive. We got like a mid-tier price stack we're looking at today. Who would fit that bill?
So I kind of like Philly. Just with the different lineup, that price of that stack has come down considerably. Mm-hmm. And Cincinnati also has some value bats. So those are the two I would probably look at.
Yeah, I'm going to throw one out that might not get is Tampa Bay. If Bradish won, you like him, and I know they can strike out, but
he's given up plenty of hard contact. Like it's definitely very risky. Like totally fine with Tampa Bay bats as well. Yeah,
they're not drawing a lot of ownership, and they look reasonably priced. I know a Rosarina always carries a little bit of a price tag, but they're not super expensive. But yeah, the Phillies, now that you don't have to pay for Harper, right, and you get Gregorius up on the top of the order, that does look pretty good now too. All right, let's see here. Looks like questions have stopped rolling in here today. You got any final thoughts? You want to give maybe a couple people just joined. You want to run through pitching real quick again, Keith?
Yeah. Let's see here. So it's very clearly Verlander and Nola at the top. We both had a slight preference for Verlander. The weather in Washington is really good. Washington is a very low strikeout team. Really like the price on Alex Wood. Great matchup there with Pittsburgh. Jeffrey Springs is in play as well against a high strikeout Baltimore team. To get a little bit crazy, I would only do it on DraftKings, but Kyle Bradish is a very cheap value option. Brad Keller is a little bit underpriced and has a great matchup with Oakland. Should pitch fairly deep into that game. And then we also mentioned in passing Taijuan Walker and Jose Quintana as potential option.
All right, we got another question in Discord from Amateur Hour. DraftKings tournament, Flores and Castellanos or Drury and Yelich?
I like both of them. I'll go with the second one there.
Me too. I'll take the second one as well. You mentioned Drury, right? So you're going to get pretty low ownership because he's so expensive, and I like it. Yelich is a totally good bat today. He'll be reasonably owned because his price is in the mid tier. But yeah, any you can sign me up for any bat in that game, and that's probably
for sure
where I'm going to lean today. Let's see here. Our crunch time chat has no questions. How do you look up pinch hit risk? So we have access to the bat, and Mr. Derek Carty somewhere in there, deep in the numbers, it is in there in the bat. If you wanted to message him how to find it, you could probably. I don't exactly know how to do it. I thought that was something he only had access to, but there's probably a line in there that's PHR or something like that.
Yeah, it's pH percentage. If you just go to so if you click MLB on the homepage of RotoGrinders and drop down the menu to the bat, and then click standard projections on the bat, you can swap it over to hitters, and one of the columns there is pH percentage.
And the main thing is you got to have access to the bat from Derek Carty. So that's how we were able to get it. All right, I saw another YouTube question too. Josh Bell, right? So Washington in general, I'm just not on them today. Nola, he's been really good on the road this year, which is not his typical self. And I'm just not really on Washington. They don't really do too much. Their offense sputters. Soto's great, but other than that, I don't know. Not really my cup of tea today.
Yeah, I'm definitely
not even getting a ton of leverage. Like Nola's not even like the going away favorite pitcher of the day or anything like that.
Right. I'm not stacking Washington because Nola has great control. He's not a guy that generally ever gets blown up. But if you wanted Josh Bell as a one-off, I don't hate it. He's been hitting a little bit better here. And I do like the weather there. So I don't hate him as a one-off.
All right. So we have hit lock. That's a bunch of the games here. Let's see here. If I can, I think I gave you all my bets. We've covered the slate. MMA is going, what's your, people want to get a FanDuel bet in for MMA tonight? Keith, what's if you had to pick one thing? Don't give me like a minus 500, no copping out or anything like that. Give me something good to bet today.
Yeah, like so I mentioned a lot of the money lines are really juiced up. Cater in the main event I like, but he's juiced up to over minus like 275. Stamen is like minus 600, 650 in some places. I don't mind parlaying those two together, and that gets you down to like minus 140. But yeah, there's not a ton of great money line bets out there. My favorite bet overall for today is Yanez Kelly to go to decision. You get even money on that. Yanez has potential to finish the fight, but I think Kelly can stick around, and that one goes to the scorecard. So Yanez Kelly plus 100 to go to decision.
All right, I'll go get that in right now. Hopefully that is a free money Iceman bet. All right, let's I think we're going to get out of here today. We believe I've answered all of the questions. We appreciate all of you for tuning in today. Go check out Scores and Odds if you ever want access for free to see which sites have the best lines. You can just use that. And then if you want access to all the picks and some of the other premium options on Scores and Odds, you can subscribe to that. Thanks to FanDuel for sponsoring the show. If you are new to sports betting and you have access to FanDuel, sign up with them. You can get some free bets, really good offers that they offer you if you are a new customer. All the sites do that, but FanDuel in particular. And then I guess just have a good night. I am not on the Keith. Are you coming back for the night show or no?
I will be back tonight. Yep.
All right. So I will not. So good luck. You guys will see Keith. When's that? Probably at 6:30 for the night show. I know there's like a 4-game slate on FanDuel and a 5-game slate on DraftKings. So if you're playing that, make sure to tune back into Crunch Time for that. And other than that, have a good day, everybody. I'm Britt. He's Keith. Thanks for watching, and we out ya.